Welcome in, Lions fans. As you can see, Will has left me hanging. Not sure exactly what he's doing, but we wanted to hop on here today, do a little draft preview for you guys. If you're in here, leave some comments. Let us know you're listening. Fire off some questions. Will actually just ran to go get some water real quick, so he will be back if you're watching the show for him and not for me. What's going on, Michael Erickson? I see you in here. Big fan winner. Yeah, Will just had to step away for a second, but we are going to get into some draft preview talk. We're going to be talking some NFL draft stuff, what to expect, some players to watch for, maybe some scenarios to look out for. Kind of tipped my hand the other day when I did that, when we did that episode on trading up. That's kind of the direction I'm leaning in. But fire off some questions if you guys got them. We'll get into it. Will should be back in just a second. He had to go run somewhere in his house and just left me pretty much high and dry to fight for myself here while I'm just taking on water, and Will's just nowhere to be found, just pops in whenever he wants to, just doesn't take this job serious. Oh, hey, Will, how you doing, buddy?
I hate everything about you.
William, you know what today is, right? 2 weeks.
No.
Two more weeks from the biggest day in the NFL season, I think, other than opening day.
What's that?
NFL draft, baby. We're 2 weeks in, I don't know, like 14 hours, because the Detroit Lions are picking 29, and we're going to be there till 3 o'clock in the morning, pretty much, just waiting on this pick. But William, what's something that you don't want the Detroit Lions to do in the draft?
Trade all the way up to number 8 and give up our first round draft pick.
Oh no, fire it, baby. Send it. I'll walk it up there myself. Michael Erickson, I know you remember. You still don't have the logo next to your name when we do live shows, but I do know that you remember. Biggest need, is it D end or wide receiver in the first round? D end, without a doubt. Not even close. The only position up for grabs on the depth chart, I think, is Marcus Davenport's 50-50 on him.
What up, Mike?
I'll let you answer this one. I like this. Big Fat. He gave me permission to call him Big Fat, so I'm going to do it.
Would you trade back with Houston for the 41st and the 58th pick, or Green Bay for the 42nd and the 59th? 40s is kind of, I was hoping to get in the 30s, like late 30s, but I'm going to say it depends on how the board looks. But that is something that I'm really interested in. If the board looks right, I could definitely see that being a potential. You know, if we're still talking about guys like Edrin Cooper being on the board, you know, Rukaroa.
41, 42 is too far for me. I can't leave the top 30s. You know, I've said I think 37 is where the Chargers are picking. That's a move I'd like to do. 37 would be okay, but that's hard for me to do when I'm moving up to number 8 to go get one of my guys. So, you know, trading back's not in my forte. I think this team's one piece away. And if that's an edge rusher and Brad has identified someone who's a game changer, I'm going to get him. Don't care what the cost is. Don't care if I got to give up a first round pick for 2025. Don't matter to me.
You giving up Nala for that?
No, Nala, the dog is not going anywhere. She is untradeable.
Yeah, okay.
No draft clause in her contract.
All right.
Or no trade clause. What's something you think would be very, very shocking in the draft, Will?
Us trading up to number 8.
You're just not going to let that go, are you?
Hey, I'm terrified, man. I think that you have I think it has some legs. I think there is a potential. I truly don't see us trading up that high, but if we traded up to the teens and we didn't give up a first round pick, now I would give up a second round pick in 2025. But you know, if I'm trading up to like 20 something, you know what I mean? But giving up that first round pick and still having questions, because I'm worried about our offensive line. I'm worried we have an ancient offensive line and we're not going to fix all of the issues. So say
Penei Sewell. Yeah, Will just said you're ancient.
We have an ancient. We're talking about the other 4. He knows what it is. he see those guys rubbing Bengay on everything. You know, it's it's gotta be, man. I don't know. I don't want my whole offensive line room smelling like mineral ice and having just elderly walkers to get to practice. Just our offensive line is a struggle, man. So if you're looking at what if we lost Ragnow and uh you know Zitler? You know what I mean?
Cody Awosika, Dan Skipper, Colby
That's not the
Swordsall.
answers.
The bus just keeps on rolling, baby.
That's not to me, that's not the answers to that's not the answers. So to being the best offensive line in the league. So I think there's a potential where, hey, you don't get Zitler back. Hey, Frank is just done with that toe. And I'm not saying that's 100% what it's going to be, but I think you got to be prepared for it. So we've said that's a life injury with his foot that's never going away. So and every year it's rumored that he may retire. So we need to start putting band-aids on things right now. I would love to get an extra piece, and because there's just so many linemen that I like. I love Graham Barton. I love Christian Mahogany. I like Christian Hayes. I love Cooper Beebe. I mean, there's just so many linemen that I like. If we could get an extra piece to sprinkle a lineman there, you got the one from the kid from Yale. You got Olu from Penn State. It's just so many linemen that I like out there, and I want to start solidifying this offensive line with depth. I don't know what the most important facet of what we need is yet in my mind. I'm still working through it because you do have James Houston, Marcus Davenport. It's just so many things that we have, but if one of those guys on our offensive line goes down, it's worrisome to me. If two of them go down, I'm terrified.
I think the biggest need is someone who could play guard and center, just because it's versatility. Frank Ragnow has his injuries. The retirement's been flying around. Glasgow's getting a little old. Zitler's getting a little old. I think if you get a guy who could play both, that covers kind of three needs: left guard, right guard, center. Tackle, I think Decker has a couple more years left. I'm not saying he's got 10, 5, 7, but I think he's got 1 to 3 more years left. So I don't think we have to overly worry about that scenario. So I don't know. If I trade up to 8, like I told you offline, I told you this when you and me were just talking, I'm willing to trade or sacrifice a backup guard to get one of the best pass rushers in this draft. If that's what I have to do, so be it. I do that all the time. I do that trade 10 times out of 10. I get a top 3 pass rusher, either Jared Verse, Letu Latu, or Robinson, or not Dallas Turner. Damn, I'm brain fart today.
That's all good.
One of those 3. I would sacrifice a guard. I'll sacrifice a backup guard to have my defense set. My offense is complete. My defense is complete. I'll worry about the rest in the draft. Like, I can get a guard in round 3. I can get a wide receiver in round 5, round 2, whatever we decide to do. We're going to have depth. We might not have insane depth, but I think we'll be better off.
I think the difference is, and Donovan, I see you with Mason McCormick. I really like him. He's flying up draft boards. That's a good one. That's a good one. Maybe we'll do a spotlight on him. But I think the difference is, for me, when we draft those guys in the 3rd round, we're going to draft a guard. If we draft a guy in the 4th and 5th round, you're drafting a tackle. You might even be drafting a right guard or a left guard or a right tackle, instead of just drafting an athlete, a guy that's going to play guard or center. You know what I mean? So that's my worry. Guys like Graham Barton, who can play pretty much everything but left tackle on the offensive line, those guys are going to be gone, man. Zach Frazier is another one. I like him as well. Zinter, I see him. I see you, Craig. Zach Zinter.
Yeah, we kind of talked about
him as well.
Zinter the other day when we were talking about guys who came in for pro days, and I was a little surprised Zinter wasn't on the list. I kind of said I'm not sure if that's because he's still rehabbing his broken leg from the Ohio State game, but I think you should have at least brought him in for a Q&A, to have a sit down with him. I think he's one of the most underrated guards in this draft, coming from a Michigan team that they run the football. They run the football quite a bit, kind of the same thing the Detroit Lions want to do. They want to run the ball, keep the pressure off Goff, keep his, I don't need Jared Goff out there slinging the ball 50 times. I need to run the ball. That's kind of just how the Lions are built. I'll ask you this, Will. I saw this up here and I was kind of waiting, but I haven't forgot.
She got
this question here from Big Fat. Trade up with Indy for 15 to get Verse. Now, I won't say Indy, but would you trade up to the top 15 And if so, who's your guy you're going to go get?
15 is right around the area that I'm starting to get in the conversation, right? For me, I would rather be in the 20s though. Pick 20 is where I think that the value that we're going to have to give up versus what we're getting, it's kind of a sweet spot for me. At 15, it would depend. You talked about your big three guys. I believe it's Latu, Turner, and Verse.
Yep.
That's your three.
In no
So
order.
it would depend on the board for me. I've seen so many different boards. Now, if we're looking at a board to where, yeah, Versus there at 15, but Latu's still on the board, maybe I'll hold off and see how this thing is going to unfold. But when you get down to only one of them being left, then maybe you got to pull the trigger. That's when I would get interested. It depends on how all of this predicates on how the board is for me. Once the board starts to tell you, hey, they're drafting these tackles, there's a string of tackles going, guys are grabbing them, there's only so many left, I know this team or that team's probably going to want one, I got to get ahead of that team. That's how I'm going to look at it. So would I be interested at 15? Absolutely. But I'm really trying to get the best value that I can. If I could keep it into the 20s, that's really my sweet spot of what I'm doing.
All right. Well, I didn't know that you had a new job, Will. I didn't know that you were a politician answering the question without answering the question. So here's what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do, Will.
Talk to me. Yes
Jared
or no?
Verse, Kenyon Mitchell, Dallas Turner on the board. You have to make a pick. Which one you taking?
I'm taking Dallas Turner.
No brainer?
No brainer.
Not going to draft a lockdown corner. Not going to take a lockdown corner and call it good. Get your Sauce Gardner.
He's not a Sauce Gardner, but
he might be.
No, not a Sauce Gardner. Sauce Gardner is he's special. He's in a different class. But yeah, I'm gonna go get Dallas Turner if it's me.
Donovan Amos, if you're still in here, I have a question for you. And I don't want you to do it to me, but I want to know how this Bulge Army thing began. I want to know what started that, because I've been seeing a lot of things, and I don't know if you're the general of the Bulge Army, but I've been seeing a lot of stuff on Twitter about people going into other streams and just flooding them with comments. So I won't name who it happened to, but Donovan, I'm sure you'll be familiar with that. I want to know how that happened, or who
I don't know about it.
Movement. These guys, I don't know what happened. They changed all of their Twitter handles to I like something Bulge, like adding Bulge at the end of like Taylor Decker's Bulge, and they just went into streams one day and were just messing with people. I don't want to say who it was that they were messing with, but I'll tell you off air if you don't already know. And they were just flooding this guy and kind of like getting under his skin a little bit, whether he wants to admit it or not. But I thought it was pretty funny. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like button, help push this channel to a wider audience. Greatly appreciated. Also, I guess I'm just full of alsos today. If you remember, we were literally just talking about what we're going to do for our next member giveaway. So I'm going to put up a poll later today in the community tabs that only members have access to. I'm going to ask you guys what you want. Is it a jersey? We're going to try to get an autographed helmet, another picture. We're going to be trying to figure out. Brad Holmes Bulge started it. I'm not familiar with I'm not familiar with who that is, but I did see some stuff on Twitter about these guys were just getting under a certain someone's skin and kind of rattling them up a little bit. But
I love it.
Yeah, for our members, we're working on another giveaway. It's taking a little time. We'll have to figure out something we want to do. Hopefully before the draft. I'd like to do another giveaway before the draft.
Well, Steve, we remember too, where the 18th is the release of the custom jerseys, and we're gonna grab a couple of those too.
Yeah. Javion Parker, how's it going, buddy? Glad to see you tuning in. Yeah, that's who it was. We don't mention names here, but yes, that is who it was. William, all right. Sir. I've given you 3 guys to pick in the top 15. If the Detroit Lions stay pat at 29, 3 guys you're drafting. No board dependent. Try to be realistic. Don't say Caleb Williams or Marvin Harrison Jr. Who's your 3 guys at pick 29?
Graham Barton, Cooper DeJean, Latu. I know he's not going. Actually, he's not going to 29. I take that back.
He might be 50-50. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he could. Only reason why I mentioned his name is because I believe he could slide because of his neck. But I've been seeing him go before that in mock draft, so I'm not going to play the whole Brian Branch game. I'll go with someone like Xavier Liggett.
I'm
Graham
just not.
Barton. Yeah,
I'm just not sold on a guard. I don't like first round pick. What am I doing with him? Sitting him on the bench for a year, depending on injuries. Like I get it. 3 or 4 years from now, it's going to be great. But at 29, I can't pick a guy who I'm going to sit on the bench for guaranteed at least 1 year unless someone goes down.
I don't think that there's anybody that you can draft that you know for sure is going to necessarily start, because even if you draft Jared Verse, you don't know that he's going to start over Marcus Davenport day one.
William.
I'm just saying, man, if Marcus Davenport comes in and he's a monster, because at the end of the day, and I'm not saying that obviously it'll most likely happen throughout the season, but there's a lot to be said for playing against grown men. Marcus Davenport has been playing against young men. If he's healthy, I don't know that Jared Verse comes in and starts over him day one. Now, the expectation would be no different than as the Brian Branches and the Jahmyr Gibbs of the world and the Jack Campbells of the world. Throughout the season, they're going to step into a position to where they're either getting a whole lot of time or they're taking over that starting role. That's why you drafted him in the first round. But to say day one for sure, he's going to step straight in for a healthy Marcus Davenport, I can't say that, man. The dude he's also a first round draft pick. He's also an athletic freak. So if he's healthy, the dude can play football. It's a matter of, is he going to show up healthy or not?
With Jared Verse, I know he's at least getting in the game. He might not be the guy coming out of the tunnel when the defense comes out and get introduced. He might not be the starting defensive end on that side, but he's going to get in the game. Whereas Graham Barton, what's he going to do? Come in when we go jumbo package for 2 or 3 plays a game? Like that's not a big enough impact in year one for me when I'm picking in the top 30. That's just how I look at it. If we had an absolute, like, man, we don't have a starting guard, we don't have a starting center, different scenario. But our line set, you don't shuffle those guys in and out. You could bring in guys. I think Dan Skipper is still going to be the jumbo tackle that comes in when we bring in an extra offensive lineman. So I can't even say that Graham Barton is going to be that role because I think that's already taken. I don't know. I can't draft a guard in the first round that's not going to start or at least get solid playing time.
Yeah, I think that there's going to be a time in this season where Frank Ragnow needs to step out, even if it's just a rest. So there's going to be a time when he plays. Okay? And to have a guy, and guys, if we haven't figured it out, I'm real high on Graham Barton. But the reason is he can step in and play any position other than left tackle. He can step in and play it. So that position versatility is huge for me. And I think it answers a question of not having to draft multiple linemen in this draft. So if you're telling me I go into next draft and Steve has given up our first round draft pick, now instead of needing multiple starting caliber linemen, because you still got me a third round guard, you didn't get me a top front of the draft guard, or tackle. So now I'm going to have to hope that pans out, or I might be in a situation where I need 2 linemen. If I get Graham, I can put him in wherever the weak link is, and then fill that according spot in next year's draft. My worry is we go into next season without Zitler, maybe without Ragnow, and now we got big holes to fill. It's just a worry for me, man. I think we backload our offensive line first because Jared Goff is going to be our quarterback. We need to have a strong offensive line. It's what we need to have, even more than an edge rusher to me. You got to have a solidified offensive line. If you draft Graham Barton, you do just that. Even the Jackson Powers Johnson is another one. You solidify that offensive line. You got a guard and you got a center to back up either way. You need to go.
I'll take this one. Craig, I like the question. And Craig, did you get that picture yet? It was sent out the other day. I hope it should at least be on its way. I can't remember what day we sent that out. I think it was like Tuesday. But do you pass on Jackson Powers Johnson at 29 if he's there? Yep, I do. I pass. Hard pass. But 2 things. There's no way he's making it past Philly. They got to replace Jason Kelsey first and foremost. Like, there's no way he's making it past them.
They might do it with Graham Barton.
They might, but also even if JPJ's there, yeah, I'm passing. I'm standing on what I believe. I think a pass rush is more important than offensive line. Jackson Powers Johnson is not going to start until 2025. He could come in if someone gets hurt, play 1 or 2 games. Yeah, I don't want anyone on the offensive line to get hurt, but I know football happens. It's a violent game. But assuming all 5 offensive linemen start, all 17, actually 20 games, because I plan on winning the Super Bowl this year. Jackson Powers Johnson is not suiting up for the Lions and getting on the field until 2025. I like it, and I agree with you about needing to keep the offensive line intact, but I can't draft a kid at 29 and sit him on the bench for a whole year, unless it's a quarterback. That's the only position I think you could do that in.
I think that while I do agree that your edge rusher at a minimum is going to be a rotational piece, I think that your Jackson Powers Johnson or your Greg Barton, Graham
Hello,
Barton.
coworker.
Yeah, your Graham Barton they're going to get on the field throughout that season, and I think it's going to be very valuable to have a lineman with a season under their belt of being in the NFL coming back would be very valuable stepping into the next season, because what do we want to do in Detroit? We want to be able to run the football, and we want to be able to protect our quarterback. It's the most important things that we need to do, to me. Even if our defense is playing phenomenally, if Jared Goff can't be comfortable in the pocket, we're going to have issues, and we're going to be talking about how we're losing games 13-10. So we got to protect our quarterback. We got to solidify this offensive line. For me, I'm looking at Jackson Powers Johnson and Graham Barton, guys that can play guard, that can play center, and even with Graham Barton, he could probably bump out to right tackle in an emergency.
I just can't wrap my head around it, William.
I get it.
I just can't.
I know it's not sexy
on the bench.
I know it's not sexy.
Just blows my mind. I've been hearing rumors about Decker being traded. How likely is that? Anyone else hearing it? I saw something on Twitter. Don't know who it came from. Until it's coming from a credible source and not some fan who's playing Madden and wants to trade Taylor Decker for Caleb Williams, I have no idea. I did see something real quick, rumblings about that. That doesn't have any legs. This team's not going to be trading one of its more important pieces, underrated pieces, for anything. We're pretty much going all in. We're not going to be giving things up.
Yeah. Craig, I like what you said here. He said one guard down and we're in a bad way. Kobe Swordstall is not the answer. I don't know that Kobe Swordstall is the answer either, man. He struggled a lot when he got his playing time and he got his shot. Hopefully he's that 3-year guy. He takes a little bit of a step forward. He takes a little bit of a step forward this year, and then year 3, he really takes a step forward, and he's in a position to where he can really contribute to the Detroit Lions. But right now, I would be, again, terrified if we were going to Kobe Swordstall.
Just no love for Coyote Awosika.
Coyote Awosika is somebody that I do like, but
just didn't come in and play well when he had to. Just looked like a bum out there. Is that what you're saying, Will?
Well, the first time Coyote came in, he didn't look that great. Back half of the season when he came in, he looked solid. But there's a difference between solid and Graham Barton or Jackson Powers Johnson stepping in, is what I believe. Now,
it's the same concept as defensive line and Jared Verse. These are other grown men. You don't know how it's going to translate. It's a double-edged sword. Yeah. You can't say that a defensive end is going to be going against grown men in my struggle. It's the same thing with Graham Barton, Jackson Powers Johnson. Like, you put Jackson Powers Johnson up against Chris Jones week 1. Chris Jones is probably going to dominate that matchup. They're going to look at that as favorable. I'm just using that as an example. Like, you put them up against the elite defensive tackles in the league right off the rip, they're going to struggle. It's going to happen in the NFL.
Yeah, the great thing about that though is if I put you at guard, you can have center guard combo blocks. You know what I'm saying? If I put you out there at one of those tackles positions, hey, good luck. It's man on man. It's okay. Go deal with these guys rushing out to go deal with Daniil Hunter. Good luck. See you. You know, I mean, it's a little bit different than if you're down there in the middle of this thing and we can combo block, we can double team, we can chip, we can help each other out down there. Send a back to help you out. It's just so many different things you could do to help those guys out. They're not just out there on an island.
Another Zack Zinter comment. Yeah, look, Zack Zinter is probably one of my hidden gems for the draft. And if you're from Michigan, obviously you're very familiar with him. Or if you're an avid college football fan, you're probably pretty familiar with him. But if you don't watch a lot of college football, Zack Zinter is the most underrated lineman in this draft. All Big Pro, Big Ten, All Pro. Like you name the accolades, he's got them all. The only thing that makes him not a second round pick is that he broke his leg in November. End of list. Like he would be a second rounder for sure, no doubt in my mind, if he doesn't break his leg against Ohio State.
Yeah, man, I think, and guys, don't kill me for this, but I think that we're being a little bit of homers on Zack Zinter. And wait a second. Wait a second. Time out. Let me clean it up. Let me clean it up.
Clean it up.
Let me clean it up. Now, is Zack Zinter good? Absolutely. But let's talk about it. Graham Barton, right? Zach Frazier, Jackson Powers Johnson, Mason McCormick, Christian Hayes, Christian Mahogany. Like, well, there's guards and centers for days, right? And I'm not going to tell you that Zach Zinter is bad at all. I think that he is definitely a tough guy, but he's not the most athletic guy. And there's some athletic guards that are in this draft, and I want those guys first. Or Cooper Beebe, didn't even mention him. Like, there's some dudes that are absolute maulers in this draft that I would want a little bit first. So, do I think that Zack Zinter could get in here and contribute and be a solid piece to this offensive line and be a solid starter, one of those 6.2 grades on the draft scale, a guy that's going to step into a starting role eventually? Absolutely. But I'm looking for those 6'3s and 6'4s.
William,
If
you got,
possible.
you got your girthy pen out?
I do. I always got, I always got that on deck.
You got your girthy pen out? Zack Zinter, 2-time first team All Big Ten.
I hear you.
1-time second team All Big Ten. National champion. Heart and soul of the best offensive line in college football.
I'm not here to tell you that Zack Zinter isn't tough.
Not offensive line that went out there in the second half against Penn State and said, "Hey, Coach Moore, we got you. Just let JJ turn around and hand the ball off. We'll take it from here." That was Zack Zinter.
Steve, can I ask you a question?
Fire it.
Are you taking Zack Zinter over Jackson Powers Johnson, Mason McCormick, Graham Barton, Cooper Beebe, Christian Mahogany, the list?
Zach Frazier?
Zach Frazier.
Are you taking
or Zack Zinter? I mean, are you taking Zack Zinter over any of those guys?
Yeah, but you didn't mention Zach Frazier, who you know I'm very high in. After Jackson Powers Johnson and Zach Frazier, I like all of those guys. I like every single one of them. I might be a little biased because I'm a Michigan fan and I know what that Michigan offensive line can do. It's proven. It's proven in the Big Ten. It's proven in the playoffs. It's proven in the Rose Bowl against Alabama. Hey, I don't have any questions about Zack Zinter.
I got a special love for Zack Zinter, but when I watch these guys pulling, when I watch these guys getting out on screens, when I watch these guys manhandling people in the trenches, it's some of it like Cooper Beebe, it's Christian Mahogany. The way that they're dealing with these guys is a little different. But hey, Zack Zinter is a technician and he's tough. So I'm not here to say that Zack Zinter isn't tough. And if he ends up on the Honolulu Blue in the 4th round because we trade in, I know we don't have a 4th round before somebody says it, because we trade back into the 4th round and go get him, then I'm cool. I'm cool with it, man. But at pick 29, when you get Graham Barton, I think that you're going to get a guy that's going to play center, that's going to play guard, that's going to be able to play right tackle in a jam. And that's a huge deal, especially when you're going into next year's draft and you don't have to draft based on, I need a guy to play where Zittler's playing. He got to play that spot. No, you could say, oh man, I can draft whatever I want.
I can't believe the disrespect for national champion.
I love him, man.
Michigan.
I love him.
If I ever beat Zack Zinter, I'm going to say, hey man, you got to come fight this guy. I know.
Please don't hurt me, Zach.
One leg and all. You got to come out there and fight him. The Bulge Army's in here. We got to be careful. I don't want them to flood us like they did to LS. Someone asked a question. I got to find it right here. Is Zack Zinter clear to play at? Did he work out? I kind of said something a little bit ago about that when the Lions had their pro day. I was surprised Zinter wasn't on the list. And again, I said I don't know if he's still rehabbing. I don't know where he is in his rehab process from that broken leg, but I was a little surprised / disappointed that he didn't at least come in for a Q&A to at least talk with Brad Holmes, Dan, and all those guys. But no, I'm not sure what his medical status is. Here you go. Would you take Barton at 29?
Absolutely, I would.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely, I would. And it's going to be board dependent, but I would be very comfortable. And I know it's not, even I, as somebody who really likes Graham Barton and his position versatility, if we selected him, I would be like, solid pick. I wouldn't be like, you know, like, because I know it's not sexy. It's not flashy. It's not, but it's a pick that will keep your quarterback safe. It's a pick that will solidify your run game. It's not. It's just that. It's just something. It's like going to work. It's something you need to do to pay the bills. You don't want to do it, but you got to do it if you want to keep paying these bills and you want to keep being able to do the things that you want to do. So
It's not actually true. I think I would thrive as a homeless person if I'm being honest with you. Like I've put myself in that scenario where I don't have to go to work, but I also don't have money to support myself. Like, could I live under a bridge? I think I could for quite a while.
okay, do you want me to dial the number and let them know you're done? Because I'll be more than happy. I'll do it live.
Stephen will put their 2 weeks in Detroit 10-3-1-3 live on the air. Hey, I will say our boss's name. Hey, boss, just let you know we are officially done. We will not be coming back.
Yeah.
Goodbye, good riddance. Yeah. I saw another question up here that I like. Just my mouse is broken and just can't. Technology's not bearing with me right now. All right. I've seen this question get asked a few times. Would you take Trice, Fisk, or Jared Verse at 29?
I wouldn't take Trice out to dinner.
Yeah. I take Trice somewhere. It's out to the curb on Mondays when my garbage gets picked up.
Take him on a train ride.
Fisk, Trice, or Jared Verse. I think if I'm Brad Holmes, I'm trying to set the record for the fastest draft card turned in with Jared Verse's name on it in that scenario.
If I'm go ahead.
No,
I was going to say, I think if I'm Brad Holmes, I'm trying to set the record for how many Florida State players can I draft.
It's true.
Give me Green. You can give me Keon Coleman. You can give me Fisk. Right. I mean, like, it's just get them all to me. Give me Verse. It's just draft them.
Yeah. Fisk or not Fisk. Fisk is very high on my list. And he kind of dropped a little bit when we signed DJ Reader, not because of anything Fisk did, but I think our needs just kind of shifted. Obviously, like I think if we drafted Braden Fisk before we signed DJ Reader, he'd probably be a plug and play day one starter. DJ Reader said, hey, I'm coming to Detroit. Now our needs aren't as big. Jared Verse, I think he's going to be better than Marcus Davenport, who I don't know, what's he going to play? 5-6 games? Actually, Will, you told me a story about Little Will the other day. That little story you told me, I won't share it for the public, but I was convinced that maybe he was somewhere working on his pass rush, like more than Marcus Davenport, if I'm being honest with you.
There is a potential. There is a potential that he may have been.
Oh, there you go. David Cornwell coming in hot.
What's he got?
Regardless of the board, what 2 positions are you taking?
Regardless of the board, what 2 positions? It's got to be Steve. I know you're taking an edge rusher, and I'm looking at an offensive lineman.
I'm edge rusher first, offensive lineman second. As much as I want to say wide receiver because it's more sexy, I think it fits. But I think an edge rusher, man. I'm just picturing Latu Latu, DJ Reader, Aleem McNeil, Aiden Hutchinson, Jack Campbell, Alex Anzalone, our revamped secondary. Roster is complete on defense. You can shuffle some guys in and out depending on formations. Offense, you're set. You might need another wide receiver somewhere in the draft. You can go get Javon Baker or something later in the draft and be set there too. Like we have some pretty damn good options.
Yeah, man. Steve, let me put you into a world that I don't want to put you in. I'm gonna knock on wood right now on the air. We get 2 linemen that go down. What does this offensive line look like?
You better be getting that ball out real quick, Jared Goff.
And that's my worry, man. And that's why I think we need offensive line depth. That's the bottom line for me. And I want to solidify it for a long time. Why do I want to waste a pick on somebody who is potentially not going to be the answer? You know what I mean? And I know that there's no for sure thing, but you can have a stronger idea or a stronger suspicion based on traits. So if I get you later on, I got to make sure. Like I don't want to be drafting an answer long term later than the second round. And we also have to remember that we're picking our second rounder is darn near a 3rd round pick. We got to remember that too. So it's even when I look at some of these mock drafts, a lot of the dog offensive linemen are gone. So that's my worry. I don't want to have not even being able to truly kick the can down the road because this guy is trying to develop. He's getting ate up on Sundays. It's just a worry for me. The priority for me is keeping Jared Goff's jersey clean. I need his jersey clean. And I don't want people running around in my backfield hitting David Montgomery before he breaks a line of scrimmage, hitting Jahmyr Gibbs before he breaks that line of scrimmage. I want them 2 yards up the field, a yard up the field before they're dealing with the guy. That's my priority. I think we have enough defensively to compete, and it would be okay to start that defensive selection process at pick 61 or trading up in the 50s or the 40s. You know what I mean? But if we flip-flop and we solidify this defense, but we start having issues with offensive line, this season is absolutely effed in a hurry. And that's my worry.
William,
Talk to me.
what I've done for the last 40 seconds, minute, maybe 2 minutes. So I've lived in your world. Lived there. It's not too bad. A lot of sunshine, rainbows, bunny rabbits bouncing around. You're gonna come to my world now.
Let's talk.
It's dark here. There's repressed memories. There's no happy endings. This is hell that I'm gonna take you into this world. So you said 2 guys go down. My turn. Aiden Hutchinson, Marcus Davenport go down. Who's rushing the passer?
I don't care. James, what?
Don't you dare say James Houston.
That is going to be the answer.
Oh, William.
It's going to be the answer. You're going to have James Houston out there, and probably you're going to be calling guys like Bruce Irvin, like, "Hey man, what are you doing? Put the bonbons down."
Bruce Irvin, I'd rather pull up the corpse of O.J. Simpson to get out there and go rush the passer. If I'm being honest with you, I'm just being honest with you, Will. You're telling me that you're going to put James Houston on the field on 1st and 10 and expect a team not to pass it at whoever he's guarding every single time? It's a nightmare scenario. If Aiden Hutchinson gets hurt, if Marcus Davenport get hurt, your 2 defensive ends are out. You have no one. You have Pascal and Kaminsky, who have proven that they can't rush a passer. While as I have Coyote Awasikwa and Dan Skipper, who have proven to be solid offensive linemen, not great, not Pro Bowlers, not Hall of Famers. They could come in and fill that gap and at least, plug the holes in the bucket from the leaky water. Hutch goes down, Davenport goes down. This season is probably over because you were going to be giving up 50 points a game.
Listen, but we might have an offense that can shoot the lights out too. You know what I mean? I do remember watching Patrick Mahomes sling that ball around with no offensive lineman. And I'm not here to say that Jared Goff is Patrick Mahomes, but Jared Goff is a pretty darn good quarterback. So I would rather watch him playing behind the best offensive line in football and fielding a defense that's similar to last year that was giving up points and us trying to win shootouts before I would rather Jared Goff be getting hit every play and rushing the ball out, because we know he's not going to be scrambling around. So, I mean, if I got to pick in between the two in an ideal world, I don't want either. So I just want to get offensive line depth immediately. There's some solid picks in this draft. The draft is deep. So you're deep at the receiver position. You can go get a weapon. To me, there's some edge rushers that can be solid players in the league on the back half of this thing. If you're telling me in the second round I get a Chris Braswell, so I'm looking at Graham Barton and Chris Braswell, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. You know what I mean? If you're telling me I got Jackson Powers Johnson and Chris Braswell, okay. You know what I mean? Like, it's not beautiful. It's not the sexy, the people are gonna go, oh my gosh, this is crazy. But I think that's a way to go about it that's going to solidify you for a long time. And that's what I'm worried about.
Guys, we are not, first and foremost, we are not cheering for injuries. We're just talking about the depth of what can happen if something happens. It's football. Something happens every single year. Things get tweaked, ankles get rolled, turf toe can sneak up on you. You might get a flu. We are definitely 100% not cheering for injuries. Never have, never will. Diehard Michigan fan. I remember when JT Barrett got hurt against Michigan, I said this game's lost its luster a little bit. It's lost its luster. I want the best of the best out there on both teams.
I just like what Brad Holmes said. Brad Holmes says that he needs to field a roster that is ready to play in November. And in November, your roster never looks like what it looked like when you started the season. That's going to be the bottom line. They play, and we watch a violent game where people get banged up. It's just inevitable. That being said, we have to be prepared for it. We have to have a roster that has depth for those reasons. And we don't have offensive line depth right now. Got to fix it.
Just reading some of these comments. There's some, some stuff I like. Like, yeah, Max Melton. He's very, very high on our list. If he's available at 61, depending on what we do in round one, I probably can't get to that podium fast enough. I also don't think we have crazy defensive back depth either. Like if someone goes down there, we got an issue. Like we can kind of shuffle some stuff around a little bit, but Carlton Davis misses some time. You trust Amik Robertson over there, cornerback one, and who's playing quarterback two? Jerry Jacobs. We've seen that. It's not pretty.
I don't trust Amik Robinson over there at cornerback one.
Exactly.
I don't think twice about putting him over there. I know he's going to compete. I'm not here to tell you that he's going to go over there and be the best cornerback in the world, but he's going to go over there and compete. He's going to go over there and compete. I think he's going to be just fine. He's not going to go over there and be a lockdown, but I don't think that he's going to go over there and be a liability by any means of the word. So I think that if just my biggest worry is this offensive line right now. It's just a huge worry for me. I feel like there's been some facts that have been laid out there for us. Dan Campbell said, it's a priority for us to extend Jared Goff. So the Jared Goff extension is coming, most likely. So if Jared Goff is going to be our quarterback, the most important thing to me is fielding an offensive line that is going to have him playing from a clean pocket. That is the first priority on my list, is Jared Goff playing from a clean pocket. Everything else stems from that. Because if he's not playing from a clean pocket, I don't care what this defense is doing, because you can only do so much defensively. You're only allowed to touch these guys in certain areas and windows at certain times, at certain yard lengths. Like so many, darn near flag football over there for the defense. I have to make sure that Jared Goff has what he needs to be successful first, and then this team branches off from that. He's got the weapons, got to ensure the offensive line stays intact. If we lose something, we just throw a piece right in there, and then after that, we move on to other things, my opinion.
Yeah, guys, we wanted to just do a quick little live show today. Get some interaction. We haven't done one in about a week. We try to, find a little time in our days to at least talk for about 45 minutes live, answer some questions. Again, we appreciate all your support. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. If you're already subscribed and you like giveaways with signed jerseys, regular jerseys, signed pictures, any type of memorabilia, think about becoming a member. Hey, I'm telling you right now, that's a household name, Will. Point proof it right then and there. And I'm glad you saw it, because I wasn't even looking.
Yeah, Mike, why are you feeding into this nonsense?
Hey, keep feeding me, Mike. I'm here all day. Most elusive pass rusher you've ever seen. I blow by tackles. No, guys, think about becoming a member. Like I said, me and Will are working on what we're going to do for our next giveaway. We are going to the jersey reveal a week from tonight. We're going to get our hands on some of those new jerseys. We're going to be raffling off some of them, but those go to members. So if you guys want a new Detroit Lions jersey, I don't know how many we're going to get. I don't know who we're going to get, whoever's up there and available. If I have to knock an old lady out of the way to get my hands on a jersey, then that's what's going to be done. We're going to be doing some giveaways. Again, think about becoming a member. Not required. Greatly appreciated, guys. We will be back later with another show. We'll have a Jared Goff video out at 3 p.m. I'm surprised nobody asked. Yep. 3 p.m. We're going to put that video out, guys. Have a good day.
Peace.